Hi. So today I have a question for you. Have you ever found it hard to walk away from a situation that you know you need to leave? You've already talked to the person, you've tried, you've done everything, you've expressed your needs, and that person has either shown you with their repeated actions or told you verbally out their mouth they are not willing to meet your needs. Okay, at that time you don't internalize it as it's your fault, you're not good enough, you did something wrong. You take the information and you employ your personal power and you respond in the best way that's going to benefit your life. Okay, so what I want to have you think about is you are not building a relationship with a person who has told you that. You are building a trauma bond. If a person has already told you they're not willing to meet your needs, you are no longer building a relationship. You are building a trauma bond, because all that can produce is depression, anxiety, fear, worry, self-doubt, low self-esteem. When you have to shrink yourself and change yourself and maneuver to fit in somebody's box who is not willing to compromise and change for meeting your needs and the things that you want. Okay, so stop thinking of it as you're building a relationship anyway. You're building a trauma bond at that point. So you are not afraid to walk away from that person. What you are afraid to walk away from is the life that you envisioned with that person. All the dreams you guys talked about, all the memories you talked about making, the things you said you would do, the plans you made, that romantic fantasized life that you thought you would have with that person. That is what you don't want to walk away from. So I actually was thinking about this and came up with this technique about 5 in the morning. And what it is you need to separate the person from your imagination of the person and the things that you imagine your life with that person. Okay, that's what you're really afraid and uncomfortable about moving away from. Okay, so instead of Brandon, you're not walking away from Brandon. You're walking away from toxicity. That separates that imaginary vision of what you wanted from reality of who this person actually is. Okay, you need to create distance from that because your brain is only focusing on that. You're focusing on what you wanted it to be, not what it actually is. So it's no longer Brandon, it's toxicity. All right, I just walked away from toxicity today. And I'm proud of myself. Okay, I did something to meet my needs. Nobody wants to intentionally be in toxicity because you're not thinking of it as for what it is. All right. All right. Another example. You're not walking away from Deontay today. You're walking away from verbal abuse or even physical abuse. Okay, rename the person for the thing that they're actually doing and not willing to change and not willing to give you to meet your needs. Okay, you're not even walking away from one. Okay, you're walking away from anxiety and depression because that is how you feel most often when you're around him. Okay, it's not that pie in the sky life that you imagine. Yes, that's great and it felt great in the beginning and that's what you wanted, but you got to separate that from reality and what it is, and that will make it easier to walk away. Continue to remind yourself that you are not building a relationship, you are building a trauma bond if you stay in that situation at that point. Okay, and you do not miss that person, you miss that reality you thought you would have, but you split that person. You call them by the trauma. You don't call them by the name, okay? Because that's going to keep reinforcing that fluff and that hype that you thought you would have, which you will never have with that person. It doesn't mean that it's not still available to you. You can have exactly what you want from a person who is willing to meet your needs. They are there. They are out there, okay? That's just not the one. So it's not that it's even hard for you to walk away. It's uncomfortable. And as human beings, we don't like feeling uncomfortable. But confidence, we always talk about confidence on this channel. Confidence does not come to you before actions. Okay? You have to take the action through the discomfort, through the pain, okay? And then your mind will begin to think, oh, okay, I can do this. I can handle this. That is when confidence grows. That's why I would say keep your promises to yourself. Take the action. It's the action that's going to create the real confidence that lasts, all right? So the more you get better at taking the action, that discomfort will weaken, and even you'll start to be able to sit with that discomfort and know, I'm growing. I'm opening myself up for new opportunities. I'm creating space for what I really need in my life. So I can go through this, and at the same time, I'm building confidence because I'm proving to myself that I can do it. Okay? So today, walk away from toxicity. Walk away from verbal abuse. Walk away from constant ridicule. Walk away from somebody that's competing with you and challenging your identity. Walk away from those things and choose yourself. And I'm proud of you for doing it. You just made a great decision. On this channel, you always know we say thank you and goodbye. Thank you for showing me who you are. Thank you for telling me you're not willing, so we don't create this lifelong trauma bond with the wrong situation. Okay, again, my name is Markia, and if you think this video can help somebody else, please share it with somebody. And thank you for watching.